So I know I've been featuring some super ships recently, especially some of the battleships. We've looked at the Battery again, and I even took a look at the Hanover where I finally got a decent brawling game. But to be honest with you, I do get the question, what's the best super ship? What is the best super battleship? Probably comes up a little bit more often for me since I tend to be known for playing battleships, right? And it's gotta be Satsuma. I really do think that Petri is very interesting and Hanover can be fun in a brawl. I just think that Satsuma is so good that that has to be your first super battleship. It'd probably be my first super ship in general. I just think the power level is that extreme. And I'm a battleship player. I like playing these ships with big giant guns. And my goodness, are these guns fun to use. To start off with, let's talk about this gimmick, this accuracy buff. If we get 3 somewhat accurate salvos, we hit our F key and we instantly get 35% better dispersion on that salvo. It's unbelievable. And you're going to see that we make good use of it in this game coming up. And you don't even need to be particularly accurate to activate this skill. It just has to be within the vicinity of hitting an enemy ship. You don't even have to hit them. It's very, very, very forgiving, which is also very nice, which means every 4 salvos or so, you're going to be getting use out of this buff. And that's not really something the Hanover can say. It's not every game you're getting into brawling ranges with that ship. And well, Petri doesn't even have a gimmick or a buff, so it's not really worth talking about when it comes to that ship. Whereas Satsuma, this buff is easy to use and is always valuable. There's going to be someone showing broadside at some point, and even if there isn't, these guns overmatch, right? We're overmatching 32 here, no problem. But it's certainly best used when someone goes broadside. And yeah, even the Annapolis with its weird spaced armor and extremely thin citadel, yeah, we're going to dev strike them. Satsuma just fits the meta, man, and it's so much fun to play. That's the best part. Not only is it really good into the meta, I feel like I'm playing a big, scary battleship again, where I don't have to push in to get into a comfortable operating range, where I'm just going to get farmed out extremely quickly. Yeah, this ship is not the most maneuverable. It doesn't have the armor, the speed of the Patrie or the Hanover. Those two are certainly better in those 2 departments. I just think that having this buff is so much better. And given that we're playing far back, we're trying to create alternate angles, crossfires, that kind of thing, the Satsuma is the best ship in the game for this. And I know I'm not the only one who's a little bit tired of this sniping passive meta, but at least with the Satsuma, 20 kilometers starts to feel a little bit more like 15 kilometers. Those of you that have played the Satsuma and some of these other super battleships, let me know. But given how consistent and powerful this ship feels outside of 20 kilometers, I think it's fair to say then that the Satsuma makes this passive meta feel less passive, at least when shooting. I don't feel as frustrated when I'm playing the Satsuma compared to, let's say, in Ohio. I have fun in Ohio. It's a very solid ship and probably one of the better tier 10 battleships. But at 20 kilometers, those guns are extremely floaty and they don't pack the same punch they do at 15 kilometers. Where Satsuma is still extremely dangerous at 20 kilometers. Do you get what I'm saying? I think that that's really why I enjoy playing the Satsuma. Today on stream, I spent a ton of time playing all of these super battleships, and I gotta say, Hanover was pretty frustrating considering we got no brawling opportunities, and that's really the only place that that ship shines. And the Patrie, well, fun, and I find very interesting. It doesn't quite hold a candle to the Satsuma. Maybe if the Satsuma didn't have this accuracy buff, then I can see them being a little bit closer in comparison. But given that the Patrie gets overmatched by all these super battleships, and it doesn't have that special buff gimmick, by the way, look at how far away we missed that midway, and we still got credit for our accuracy buff. That's what I'm saying. It's very, very forgiving. And of course, shooting into these carriers is something that the Satsuma does very, very well. We're going to take a blind shot here, not using our accuracy buff, because I don't want to waste it on a potential miss here. But this really is one of the other reasons I think Satsuma is so good. This ship is capable of destroying carriers. If they're spotted, Satsuma can pop a spotter plane, or if they're just within range, yeah, they're going to be taking some massive pain unless they angle perfectly. And as you can see, this midway is nearly at the A line, and we're more than capable of hitting him hard, and if he's spotted again, we'll probably actually end up taking him out. Notice I'm actually not shooting here. I notice my carrier plane's getting closer and closer to that midway spotting, because yeah, I really want to take the carrier out. I think all of you also want to see this guy go down. And yeah, I mean, look at that salvo. Assuming I led properly, he's pretty much dead. And that's the best feeling about this Satsuma. This buff gives you that confidence that you have that perfect Slava-like dispersion just at the click of a button. It's amazing. And I know that these super ships are very expensive to run, but I think this one really is worth it. And I do have an ulterior motive for recommending the Satsuma to all of you guys today, and that comes down to Wargaming and their map design. I'm hoping that we can get some better maps that deal with these longer range, extremely powerful ships a little bit better. You'll notice Greece is probably the worst offender for this, where everybody's just sniping over these islands in spawn. These islands are so useless. I've talked about this quite a bit. I'm hopeful that maybe if we have enough Satsumas in the queue that are constantly targeting the enemy carrier and taking them down, that then Wargaming will step in to protect this special carrier class and maybe make some better maps that allow for more island cover to give people the opportunity to push up more. And that way we won't have this camping snipe from spawn kind of meta with some better map design. I do think that maps are one of the issues. These maps are great for tier 8 ranges. I think that's really what it comes down to. Tier 8 range, tier 8 firepower, tier 8 consistency. So even though I would rather not see all of these sniping at 20-kilometer games, Satsuma's really, really good at it. And if you're getting tired of that kind of meta and you want to feel like you're actually playing a battleship that can do something at those ranges, Satsuma really is it. And I think that's why I've really been enjoying playing it recently and playing it over some of my tier 10s. I've been kind of avoiding some of my cruisers as well because it's just so comfortable to play a Satsuma into this passive meta. I have 26 kilometers and I can very easily make use of all of it. Now maybe I shouldn't be looking for the easiest, cheesiest thing to play, but man, I gotta say, Satsuma, I've been really, really enjoying it recently over most other ships actually. And here we get 326k, and it wasn't even that big of a deal, honestly. It just felt like a pretty normal match, and suddenly we get an insane game. As for the build, I think we all know where this is going. Yes, it is a standard battleship commander. There's really nothing to change here coming from the Yamato, and maybe that's also a good reason to get the Satsuma, or at least play through the Japanese battleship line. It's a great, consistent line that teaches you the fundamentals of battleship play all the way up, and at the end you have this amazing reward in the super ship. Yamato is obviously also a great tier 10 to be playing as well, but it's not quite the same as this Satsuma with this special ability. This is, it's so nice. It's so nice to have that consistency every 4 salvos or so. Even if you just save it, there's always an opportunity where you wish that one salvo would be perfect in that match, and this ship has it. As for the upgrades, pretty standard as well. We don't need extra range. Even though the ship feels quite consistent outside of 20 kilometers, the extra reload is extremely nice to have since, you know, it's not the best. Even with reload mod, 30.8 seconds, so that is a bit of the downside here. We don't quite have the DPM, but when you're hitting this hard, DPM doesn't matter quite as much. So let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you recommend as the first super ship for people looking to get them? For me, I recommend the Satsuma. It's just that good. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.